Okay, we're official, we're starting.
Okay.
Okay, to start out with, every meeting, we start by just reading off the goals that I set when we started this meeting. So, for most of us, it's a big review, but what we're trying to accomplish here is to find truth and specifically looking for principles. And we've talked a lot about what that means, what those are. Then become better by learning and applying the truth. Learn about government and economy, focusing on the founders. Enhance learning by discussion and share an opportunity to learn with others. And enable members to know what to do to influence for the good of liberty. So that's what we're all about and trying to accomplish here. And, maybe I should have had you bring up the lecture so we could just show Skylar what we've been, that whole case.
The CDs?
Yeah.
The DVDs?
Yeah.
Sure.
And we can just show them that. So I don't know how much I put in the email, but I took a class from the Tenboom Institute a year ago, and it's this couple that just started it on their own, and they do classes online. Well, I did mine by conference call last year, and then I knew she had this Principles of Liberty curriculum, and I thought, okay, I'll do this class, and then that's what I'm going to study next. So then I found out she wasn't actually teaching classes the same way this year that she did last year. But she said you can take the curriculum, and her big focus right now is to just help book groups get started with any kind of focus. And she has these 2 classes that she's made, and so that can be what the book groups study, or she just helps them study whatever they want to study, and just how to run a better book group than a lot we find around here. So I took her curriculum and I told my mom, I'm going to just study this myself because I wanted to do it with the class, but she's not doing it. So I'm just going to buy her materials and just study it on my own. And my mom said, I want to too.
Yeah, we did it from China. It was a little bit interesting.
Cool.
So I said, if you and I are going to study it together, I'm just going to invite a few more people. We'll make it official, make it a group. So we all bought it was just a $25 thing, and the material has a CD that has a study guide on it and a bunch of articles. Some of them written by the woman, Audrey, that runs the Tenboom Institute, and others. We had Ezra Taft Benson and Schultz and Eidson and John Quincy Adams. I'm trying to think what else we read in the articles.
Locke or Blackstone?
Well, we talk a lot about Locke and Blackstone. We didn't have any other articles in here. Anyway, so that has been part of the material, and then she has this series of lectures that go along with it, and then the 2 books of 5,000 Year Leap and whatever has the Penny Candy.
Boy, I ordered this. I haven't received it yet.
So that's like the course materials, and then part of her study guide, she gives 8 classes worth of assignments.
Cool.
And we've just followed her outline. So this is class 7 of the 8, and then in a month from now we'll get together for class 8. So that's to give you an idea of what we're doing here.
Cool.
And so that I mostly just follow her way of leading book groups the best I can, because I took her class and realized that it was better than any book group I've ever been to. So I just do her way, and we mostly talk about a combination of her questions from the study guide and our own questions that we want to discuss. And I find even when people aren't very prepared, and there's not very many of us, it doesn't take long before the 2 hours have come and gone, and off we go. And the other setup thing that we've done for this group that I just decided from the beginning I wanted to do is we do an hour and a half of the main discussion, and then the last half hour we turn over to one of us to do presentation style about something related. We've read talks all together and just discussed them, shared different presentations. My parents shared about China a month ago. Someone else shared about the effect of homosexuality on society. Just anything that's related that people wanted to present. So we have our youngest member of our group is 16, and he's going to be doing the presentation tonight. So I'm hoping that he's signed up. I'm hoping he'll make it and do it.
And what has he told you what it's on?
Yeah, tonight it is. I don't remember the name. Judge what's it?
Napolitano.
Yeah, and he had a book, I don't remember what the book was called either.
Constitutional chaos, lies your government told you.
That's the one,
That's
lies
the-
the government told you.
That's a good
That's
one.
what he's gonna present about.
Oh,
So, but to get started, I usually just start us off in the main part of the discussion with my own kind of question to get us warmed up, and then we'll do some other questions that other people brought. Just staying related to the principles more than anything is how we want to. I mean, I don't steer the discussion too much. Just we try to not turn it into a bashing politicians session, but to keep it on what the principles are and why what's not working isn't working, that kind of thing. So my first question is, from the lecture that we watched for this time and from reading whatever happened to Penny Candy, there was some talk about problems with getting rich quick and the idea of getting rich quick. And Audrey even said in the lecture that sometimes when people are trying these get rich quick schemes, they're out of harmony with principles. And she mentioned the principle of patience, that's an economic principle, that it takes patience. So I was thinking a lot about that, and I thought, Mayberry talks about malinvestment that comes because of inflation. People think they have all this money, and so then they invest poorly, and that's part of what the get rich quick schemes are about. And then often it turns into get poor quick when the bubble bursts. So is that the only problem, or are there harmony? I mean, are there principles that getting rich quick is completely out of harmony with? And what if we're getting rich quick and providing value, or really offering a good service, and it just so happens that we're taking good advantage of the market? Is that good principle? Is that bad? And I'm just wondering what the principles are. So that's where I want to start.
Looking for principles that it violates, maybe.
Or that it holds to. I mean, is it necessarily out of harmony with principle all the time, or?
Well, getting rich quick doesn't mean, it's kind of like a mindset that is kind of a gambling kind of mindset. And it also has underlying it that if this doesn't work out, the government's going to step in and save me. With some of the banks that were overextended, and then the government comes in with their programs to help. It's not necessarily making a lot of money in a short amount of time, but it's kind of the mindset of rolling the dice and capitalizing on, I don't know. It's not necessarily that you get rich quick. That's not the whole problem. It has a little bit of entitlement under there too. That says we're Americans, we should be able to
fulfill the American dream.
Yeah.
Well, I think getting rich is a byproduct of providing value, of giving something unique that nobody else has really provided adequately. And whether it happens quick or slow depends on how much demand there is for it, or how revolutionary maybe this innovation or product is, how well marketed it is. And so the speed of getting rich, in fact, getting rich is not the point, I don't think. I think it's providing things that people need and they have a choice. Gambling is not the right principle, because it's just trying to get something by random and by luck, and with gambling you always have, it's like zero sum. There's always as many losers as there are winners. And so providing things that people need should be, it's a legitimate reward for the one who risks and provides, but everybody benefits because now they have an alternative to an old way that didn't work very well. And so if we think of getting rich as a byproduct of doing something that society needs and is wholesome and legal, then it's a very good principle. That's my
So the focus should be on
suggestion.
creating value, and it really doesn't matter as much the speed at which you are gaining wealth if your focus is on providing value and helping others.
I agree with that.
Do too.
Rich is a relative term, obviously, in relation to
Yeah.
other people. Wealth is a term I like more. And in a truly free society, wealth, it just represents your work, your thoughts, your, as valued by other people. It's interesting because it kind of falls or rises or falls on their view of what you do,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause I think about it this way. I think everyone would benefit from constitutional studies, from studies on human rights.
We happen to agree with you.
Right.
No.
Right? And so I figure, hey, if I have an edge on that understanding and the ability to efficiently explain it and teach it, man, that would be awesome if I could make a living doing that. But we live in a society where that's not valued. And so it's one thing that I think people often go wrong on in terms of economics is they see wealth or money as a representation of objective good. Really, it's relative, because I think this is objectively good. This is true.
Yeah.
Right now, we live in a society where they don't perceive it that way, and therefore there's not a demand for that stuff. There's more of a demand for other forms of entertainment and so. But anyways, but still, they get what they want, and they get what they really deserve, and that's the way it should be. They have a right to do that.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
How does, one related question to this, how does easy credit relate to the schemes?
Well, it makes it possible a lot of times for people to get in on the schemes. And I mean, that malinvestment related to inflation is, part of when inflation is going big, then there's also easy credit often happening because there's government regulation making all that happen. So it all seems to kind of go together. And easy credit is also like false principle, I think.
Yes,
It's based
yes.
on a false principle because it's not truly saying what
Yes.
the market's saying. It's not what, like you were saying that, well, it's objective, value is objective. Well, easy, artificial, low credit it's not what the real market is saying.
And whose expense does it come by?
Yes.
Remember, you guys talk about the Federal Reserve?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah, but
okay, cool, yeah, sorry, so I don't know. Okay, so, well, they in and of themselves aren't the source of the inflation, they facilitate it. We are. Any loan we take, any time we use, they even confuse the terms. Credit is the term we're using. Really, it's debit, debt-based. Credit in the Founders' Day meant the backed by something. So the difference between taking out a loan or taking out a loan on your house, something that already is there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
that's out of nothing and something that's backed by something that's more of,
Yes.
A security-backed loan.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was the difference between credit and debit. Now they've switched the term. So when you use a debit card, you're actually using credit.
That's
Credit card.
interesting.
That
Debit.
is interesting.
So they've confused the terms, but yeah.
That is very interesting. So now when you have a debit card,
Liza.
you
They're using
you're really using
truly,
credit.
truly
You're
because it's
losing credit because you have it in your bank already.
yeah.
And credit